on the different platforms, because the whole goal is to build an online presence. So I really appreciate you guys being here and being a part of this event. And again, at the end, we're going to invite people to the stage and give you the chance to unmute yourself so you can ask questions, give you suggestions about what you might have heard. For those of you all that don't know me, my name is James Edwards. I am a solution-focused life coach. I'm very interested in personal growth and reflection. And I am also co-founder of this life coaching initiative that I've created called the MZZ for Life Coaching Solutions. MZZ actually means the root in Swahili. And so your future life change should be rooted in values, things that are important to you and strengthened by your personal life experiences. So that's why we're here today, to talk a little bit about values, do some feedback and reflection on the process of relationship building for the most part, but specifically love, marriage, and the process of divorce and how it affects individuals, the family, the community, and the process overall in this journey that we call life. So we are 2 minutes past the hour. We have Rita Griffin here, who is making her debut as a solution-focused super friend. I appreciate you so much for being here today, Rita. I know you are a very busy woman, so for you to take the hour out of your day to chat with me, I appreciate that.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great conversation. It's life, and it's at one point was my reality, it still is, so hey, let's talk about it. Let's see if we can help somebody.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into the journey a little bit. We got Rejoice here. Welcome, Rejoice. For anybody who is just joining us, we're gonna give people who are viewing or listening the opportunity to come to the stage toward the end of the conversation to ask questions and give their feedback if you have some. But if you're here, what we're having today is a conversation about love, marriage, and divorce. And I have Rita Griffin here. Rita Griffin is a wonderful daughter, an amazing sister, a mom, a grandma. She's a wonderful cousin, always been an inspiration to me as a kid. I used to feel like Rita and her brothers were like the super friends coming to Milwaukee to visit us whenever they would visit. It was just a big deal, for our family, for my grandfather's sisters to be in town, and sisters and brothers to be in town. So amazing cousin. And today she is making her debut as a solution-focused super friend. And Rita, just to kind of get started, we did some preparation last night. And actually, I was considering changing the title because you talked about the importance of friendship. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk a little bit about your journey, your thoughts about friendship, love, marriage, and divorce. The floor is yours.
Well, and hey, let's just flow with whatever is going to work. It doesn't have to be as stringent. Pretty much all of them, we can kind of touch on it. But I think that friendship, when you're speaking of friendship in regards to a relationship, love, and marriage, I believe that a friendship has to be developed. It is so important to have a friendship before you get to the love, before you get to marriage, because a friendship could actually be the thing that helps to sustain throughout marriage. There are a lot of couples that are not friends. Friends, when I say a friendship, when you're with a friend, that guard is completely different. And I think I mentioned last night, I even add the term in there, hanging out. then friendships. Hanging out for me is it's a very comfortable space, especially when you have been divorced, when you have been married. So when you're hanging out, when I'm hanging out with my friends, we don't have this agenda. We're not on interviews with each other. We go with the flow. That's how you learn your friends. That's how you learn that. And so in a relationship, when you are someone that you're interested in, I think it is very important to just spend time just casually hanging out with them first. May not be an extended period, but it just creates, you have different conversations. You're not trying to make sure you say all the exact things when you have a friendship. So for me, if like what did you say last night? If the Lord delay his coming,
right.
If the Lord delay his coming and he allows me to have that opportunity again, the friendship is most important to me. The friendship is most important. When you start automatically with the romantic side, you kind of miss that moment because you can kind of gauge a friendship. Because truth be told, there are some people that could really be a better friend to you than they could be you dating. That's another reason that should happen. I have one really dear friend. He's my friend today, and we've been friends for years. He started out, trying to pursue me, but we just really clicked as friends, and that was best for us. So it also takes away from, is he the one? Is he this? Is he that? There are some people, God wants to allow good people. Sometimes he wants you to just have good people in your life. And I think that is very key, even before you take the next step.
So friendship as the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was really great information. And I thought about that all morning. And I was like, well, wow, maybe I should go back to all the platforms and change it. But it was too late. So, but I definitely wanted to start there with that discussion. So an important part of the MZZ for Life coaching initiative is the importance of personal values, because there is a theoretical framework out there that says people won't make changes to their lives or create sustainable goals unless they align with their values, what's really important to them in the innermost recesses of their heart. And so can you talk a little bit about your value systems as it relates to friendship, love, marriage, and how it may have been reconstructed in the process of a divorce?
Oh, definitely. That's a very good question. Let's go back. In our era, I would say, let me say it this way. I believe that I learned more about being married after I was separated and through my divorce. So I now have a completely different perception, idea, all of those things. It's very different than what I was taught. Okay, we were giving a standard when we were younger or when we were in our era of getting married. And the thing was, just being candid, the thing was, does he go to church? Does he work? Does he pay bills? That used to be the thing. You get you a good man, a good man. And so they had an idea of what a good man was. So they really didn't teach a lot. And this is no reflection to them. That was what was taught in that era. If you met a young man or a young man was pursuing you, he worked, he had stable income, there are certain very few things, does he want kids, just basic things. They considered that as a good man. Well, there are so many more things that you need to be aware of when it comes to marriage. I will also say that even at a younger age, marrying younger in our era. I was of age at that time, but I would say to the new generation, you need to know. You may not know what all of your values are when you get married. Marriage is a life teacher. Because this person that you come into covenant with, that you come into a relationship, they're going to bring some things out of you, and you're going to bring some things out of them that you may not know was there. And so you may have to develop your value system when you may already be married, or a person that's already married, they may not have known that from the beginning. And so now, where I am now, it's when you have that space and that time of being singles. I really wish that so many more singles would kind of see the advantage that they have to really, those are things that you need to discover while you're single. You need to discover your purpose. You need to discover your calling. You need to discover your passions, those things that you enjoy doing as a person, because marriage is designed to change your life. It's going to change. It's inevitable. You can't you can't act as if it's not going to, or be thrown off, or just not be aware. It's designed to change your life. And so I think that you just, life itself, once you come to that, I'll say that you just bring yourself to a point to say, I will forever be growing and I will forever be learning. And if you keep that mindset, because we come into our marriages with what somebody else gave to us, not so much as knowing yourself or really knowing that other person, but you come into it with the value system that was passed down to you, and it's going to be tested. Some sooner than later, but at some point your value system will be tested.
So the value system being flexible and fluid is what I'm hearing, especially in that period between friendship and love, right?
Yes, it could show up at any time, because sometimes things don't surface until you're married.
Okay, and you made a really
you
good.
You don't always know, and this is why when you get married, you need to be ready to be married. You shouldn't rather get married and then decide, I want to be single. There's some things I really want to do. That's probably not the best. That's going to cause some type of friction. Those are things that we really need to stress to those who are not married.
So you starting to exhibit single ways after you've established a partnership, right? Not a good idea. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So you talked about, some values existing, when the partnership is established, and then looking back now, you realize where that value system worked against you. And so what I've been finding, though, is that the work ethic and working, has been a common part of the conversations of the solution-focused interviews that I've been having. And so can you talk a little bit about you both having a value of work and how that began to work against you?
Yes, I can lend to that. When you're dating, that really needs to be redefined when you're not necessarily dating, but dating leading into courtship. When you see that you are going into where this is exclusive, and like you just call it, we get serious,
right? Right.
You gotta start having some conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Those, I believe, in our era, those things weren't really taught to you. They really weren't taught to you. To be honest with you, and I can only go by my experience and my journey. I grew up in the church, of course, and I will definitely say there were a lot of great things that they did teach us and demonstrate to us for our value system. You know, the stability. We can definitely say for the most part that, oh my God, our parents, wives or mothers, they endured a lot. So they had that stability. They had that perseverance. These young people these days, don't do that to them. You're going to be without spouse because they don't have that like that. You know, so that part I feel was really great, and it gave, when it came, I brought that over into my marriage. That okay, you don't separate or you don't get divorced. You got married to be married.
Right.
You have to grow. You both have to grow. But when we got married, most people don't get married to end it in divorce. You don't do that. You know, that's not your mindset. So we both worked. Let me say it this way. I believe that, let's say now if I am communicating with someone who may be pursuing me, I ask questions a different way. Like, okay, so you talking about having a life with me. What does that look like to you? We didn't know to have those conversations.
Right.
When you ask more detailed questions, there's not a right or wrong answer, but you have to hear what that person is saying, and they have to be able to hear me. You know, like I said, we both worked. When I met my ex-husband, when I met him, he was working. I will give it to him when I say I have never taken it back and probably won't. He was like, and has been and still is, one of the hardest working people that I have ever met in my entire life, which was a great plus. So as a wife, you automatically know that the provision would be there. Okay, so I'll say on my part, there was a part where, you know, I was raised. When you're in church, you are committed to the service of God. You're committed to that. So you're committed to Tuesday, Wednesday night, whatever, you're committed to that. So it began to work against us because we didn't know that we needed to create our balance for us.
Right.
That wasn't made aware to us. I say it often. If I had to go back and do it again, I would take my children to church with my spouse on Sunday mornings. We wouldn't go back for Sunday evening. That would be family time. It's a lot. I would not be heavily involved in ministry because your home and your husband is most definitely a ministry. And that's not something we don't value that as much as it needs to be. But I look at the stay-at-home, what they call, stay-at-home mom. A stay-at-home mom works way more than almost an average mother that works outside of her house, because you are constantly on call. And so for us, we didn't know until time had just gone. Your children, we've always had kids, so a lot of things we just didn't know to do. Before you know it, it's 3 years, it's 5 years, it's 10 years. You're not in need for anything financially because you both are working, but at the same time, the communication is suffering, the understanding of each other. And this is something that people have to understand when they get married. People change, circumstances change people. When I remember, my children were small when my mother took sick. I had children, and Rejoice, well, she may have been, she was much smaller, so she may not be able to, really remember that. But I was at the hospital with my husband, with my children. I was at Tuesday night service with my husband, with my children. I was working at night. So I was doing all of this, and I needed more from my spouse, but I didn't know how to communicate that.
Right.
And he didn't know. Let's just say, and this is I want to definitely make that clear. This is nothing negative about him, just like it isn't about me. These are just things that you're just not aware of that needs to take place. When I look back, what I would have probably requested from him, okay, you take the kids home, stop and get them whatever they're gonna eat. That's a given. Okay, put them to bed. I'm gonna stay up here with mom, and then we'll touch bases, and then I'll go to work or whatever. So we both were just going. So when you're physically, mentally, emotionally scared, fear has set in. When you got all of these things going on, your marriage is going to be whatever it is. So that still goes back to that friendship. A friendship, I believe you have a better chance to kind of teach that person, okay, when I'm upset, this is what I need you to do. I'm not mad per se, because every time you're mad, you're not necessarily mad at your spouse. But you don't want a spouse that's like, you mad, well, I'm mad too. What you mad about? I mean,
right.
I need you to help me not be mad. Okay, baby, what's wrong? Can I do anything to help? However, if you don't know that your spouse is not that kind of person, my ex-husband was an outstanding financial provider, outstanding, hands down. But I needed more, and I didn't know that I needed more. So I began to, maybe let's say, take things out on him with frustration without communication. Because what you need when you first get married may not be what you need 3 or 4 years, because the circumstances of our lives have changed. So your need is going to change. And that's important for people to know. You have to try to meet the need of your spouse. Okay, they still bringing you, okay, you used to like, what's that place? There's a place that used to say, I can't think of the name of it, but Rejoice know what I'm talking about.
A restaurant?
Miss Winters. Okay. We had this thing, it's a family joke. So we had this thing with Miss Winters. Okay, I used to like Miss Winters 5 years ago. You haven't communicated any type of time. You haven't even told your spouse, okay, I don't really care for that anymore. So all that person is going to know is, when I know she used to like, especially a man, they're gonna be like, well, I know she likes these dippers from Miss Winters, and you're thinking, I don't even like those anymore, because you haven't communicated. So then on a spiritual level, that's when then the enemy starts to come in. That's an open door. Anytime there's not any communication, you open that door. Then he starts saying, well, he just brought you there because he wants to see the man, or he just brought you there because, it could go from so many places. So what I'm saying is that you have to constantly communicate. As I mentioned last night, on this next go around, if the Lord delay his coming and he allows me to be married again, I will be in counseling till Jesus comes. I think that helps to create a healthy communication. Sometimes you can get in counseling and your spouse can express themselves, and that's your first time hearing that. That's where that friendship comes in. If everybody on here has a relationship with me, if I'm upset with my friend, or my friend hurts my feelings, or my friend says something, I'm going to go to my friend first. And that is how you build communication. You do that because I want to see you happy. I want this to work out. I want to hear what you have to say. You also have to learn how to be mature in that it has to be an exchange, is what I'm saying. It has to be an exchange of communication. Like I said, I remember my ex-husband, he was somewhat of a laid-back person. He was somewhat of a quiet person. And you all know we have witnesses on here. If we have an innate ability, we can let you know what we think. Now, we may not use what the people call cuss words, but we're going to make it known how we feel. Well, I probably use that a little bit more because I felt, okay, well, I can communicate. I ain't never heard nobody who can't communicate. What you mean you can't communicate? And a dear friend of mine, which was a guy, he told me, he was like, well, you ain't really communicate. You just want to be right. And you just like to hear yourself talk. So that turned the light on and let me know that you have to listen. And we can't wait, or we shouldn't wait to work on our communication skills. These are relational skills. And that's another thing. People wait till they get married to try to implement these things. I want a great communication with my children, great communication with my friends. It's relational. It's whomever you're in relationship with. Then when you get to a good relationship and a good marriage, then these are things that you are already aware of, you're already operating in, you're already aware that I need to, okay, this person has heard me, now I need to listen to them. Let me hear how that came across. So I hope that answered your question. That was kind of a lot, but I hope that answered your question.
It did, but you cleared up, a few of the questions all in one. So thank you for summarizing it all and moving us forward. But what I did here was definitely friendship as the foundation, right?
Yes.
Consistent communication, and then maintaining a work-life balance, right? Three important things. Okay, so this month, Rita, in the MZZ for Life coaching initiative, we're actually focused on feedback and reflection, right? And we talked a little bit about your personal relationship with Christ, with God, with the church. What role did feedback and reflection play in the process of you moving through all of those different phases of friendship, love, marriage, and divorce?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that I truly have to acknowledge that my spiritual relationship with God is the thing that truly and is still bringing me through. Now, that was, let's say, the foundation, and that was the main part, because I came to a point, we had a slight situation, and like your whole marriage just flashed before you, or your life just flashed before you. And I had to decide, you can either do this God's way, or you can do this your way. But if you do this your way, you're going to lose. And so that was a hard decision to make, because, when two people are hurt, and two people are frustrated, two people are confused, he's not the author of confusion. So it's not going to be anything but just back and forth. Well, I thought you said what I thought you said. What you was going to do, where you should have done. It's no peace in it. Mm-hmm. So no one's going to hear anyone. So the situation and the way it played out, when I submitted to God, at that moment, I submitted it to God, and he was the one that began to help me through, because now I had no idea of what was ahead. I really did. You can have, disagreements, arguing, you can have those things where you know that you've come to a point where you really do need help. And I will say that if love was all that we needed, we probably would still be married today, because I don't think it was a question of love. I think that it was you have growth, you have the need to mature, the need to understand. You have, I know they always tell us that, when you're married, you're one. That is true, but that's also a different individual. You have two personalities, you have two mindsets, you have two whole different sets of childhood issues that have now come together, and you got your values. So that goes back to what you were saying. You got your values of how you think it should play out, but they also have things, which it's probably not the same, which causes the division, which causes separation, and for whatever those reasons were to go ahead and dissolve the marriage. But you didn't see any of that coming. So God was the one that really helped me. I will say, when you come to that point, everything in your life everything that's connected to you is going to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Every person and everything that is connected to you is going to be shaken. Everything, your children, your family members, you have couple friends that you used to hang out with, that's going to be challenged.
Right.
You have friendships, you got in-laws, you got loyalty. Loyalty is going to come to the surface. Who's really with you, but not really for you. That's hurtful, but it's inevitable for it not to happen. Now, what I will say is you can have a lot of people in your space, but you can have a lot of the wrong people in your space. So I was blessed to have enough of the right people. I feel myself getting emotional now because I had those people in my life that was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do this. I had those people in my life that was able to help see the other side regardless. But you also had people in your life that they almost rejoiced in your demise. And that's hurtful when you have, been there for everybody.
Right.
But those ones that was able to see that other side, to help pull you through, to know, okay, this is horrible. I can't take this pain from you, but we're going to do this. I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. And they were here for, they were here for us. When I say us, they had a respect for my husband at that time. Mm-hmm. So they didn't come in and take sides. They said, okay, tell us what you need. Okay, I'm going to check on him. You know what I'm saying? And mm-hmm. So that helped over a period of time. It helped to, I was about to say, but it really is, it helped the grieving process, because that's what it is when a marriage is dissolving. It helps to have those people in your life that can help support you. I had children, they were coming into their teenage years. They tried that first year of me being a single mother. They tried to kill me, but I won the second year because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And so, and then by submitting it to God, mm-hmm. by trusting in God, mm-hmm. then this is where you have to trust God. Now, you got to trust him when he shows you who's not for you. I have a hard time. Oh my gosh, hard time with letting people go. Let me take that back. I used to have a hard time with letting people go. Mm-hmm. Okay, so don't hold on when it changes. You have to, it's hurtful. He's going to help you through it. It's one thing that I learned, and this is when you start to find out that you're getting older, that when they say, talk about the peace, say the world didn't give it and the world
can't take it away.
when God gives you peace, the storm is still raging, but when God gives you peace, it is nothing like it. The peace is the thing that helps sustain you through all of the other attacks of the enemy, attacks of people. Everything changes. Your finances change, where you live, what you eat, your whole life changes. Mm-hmm. I don't think that it was so much of in reflecting. One thing that I did learn is not so much that I was not prepared for divorce. I wasn't prepared for life.
Okay.
Because in our era, we were taught that you put everything into your marriage, everything. And so when that happened, and it changed, it shook everything. So I not only had to go into survival mode, so many things that I depended on through a marriage. But then, only God can help you to see, okay, I'm here. I'm the one that provides. When I say he is the source of everything, the source of the right people in your life, he's your source of peace. He's your source of wisdom. Because when you go into that phase, you learn how to think fast. You got and in so many ways, it taught me it taught me a lot of good things that I will most certainly at the appointed time be able to apply. I think it'll most certainly be much better. I can be a much better wife the next time because of what I learned. So those are the things that I really take away from that. What did I learn? I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned that I really did love God. I had a lot of choices, and we have, some of the ladies on the line. You're faced now with a greater level of temptation that you didn't have before, because you had access. They know what I'm talking about. Okay, so then I realized, okay, I thought we was being for real. You gotta learn how to channel that. You have to learn, and God was the one that had to help me. Had to, okay, this is what you do with this. Don't listen to that. Don't do this. I made a commitment to myself. I'm not saying this at all to gain any points. I decided that until there's a bill of divorcement, that's what the Bible calls a bill of divorcement. I'm still married.
Okay.
So I carried myself as such. I know they got a lot of things. They got a lot of waivers. Well, y'all ain't together. Well, we ain't talked in months, but you're still married. Right. And the reason you're still married is because if that person were to leave this earth and you do not have a bill of divorcement, guess what? You are still considered that wife. So in the eyes, these are things that God helped me with. So in the eyes of God, you have to, just like the law of the land, he shared with me, okay, if the law of the land, if they honor that in the law of the land, you know how these people be talking about, well, we not together in God's eyes. Yes, you are.
It say if you don't have that bill, right?
Yeah, you don't have your bill. So it helped me. It made me realize, I really do love God. I really did love, and I did not want to take my children or expose my children to any greater issues or, just their lives had changed.
Right.
So I didn't want to, I didn't want to add anything else to that. I decided, okay, I want to create a haven for them where it's a haven of peace. It's not a haven of contention. They this is their home. And that's what I did. And I had the peace, but I had girls. So I feel like that's what caused them to gain a level of respect for me. That's no judgment at all to anyone that may have chosen to do it a different way. This was my journey, and this is how I chose to. And one of the things that to me is most important in these situations, you all, is to have peace. I can do it without a lot of things, but peace is not one of them.
Amen. So Rita, we talked a little bit about, just grief and loss, and that's another aspect that I'm finding common in a lot of the interviews that I'm doing. And so I utilize this particular grief and loss model. It looks like a valley, right? And then on one side of the valley, you got loss hurt. And then on the other side of the valley, you got loss adjustment. And in between those two stages, you got 20 different stages of loss and grief that a person goes through, right? And so, Rita, we talked a little bit about last night, you being from the Bi, like you being one of the siblings' daughters. And so I feel like you guys are a little more quick-witted if you are actually from the vine. I'm a descendant of the vine, so we're gonna play a little game, right? Using this loss and grief model. And so there are 20 different stages. I'm gonna ask you to pick a number between 1 and 20, and I want you to tell me if you think that stage is on the loss hurt side, or is it on the loss adjustment side? And how do you think it plays a role in how you've processed your experience with friendship, love, marriage, and divorce? Okay, so pick a number from 1 to 20.
Okay, let's pick 15. All
right, and 15 is actually on. Okay, no, I'm gonna let you tell me. Is it on the loss is it on the loss adjustment side or the loss hurt side?
Well, what is it? Do I get to hear what it is and then I put it on the side? Is that how we doing it?
Yeah. Okay. So it's a model of loss and grief, right? And it actually looks like a valley, like it looks like a U. It's shaped like a U, the model. All right. And on the left side of the model, you got loss hurt. And on the right side of the model, you got loss adjustment, which is where you really want to be, right? If you've experienced.
Right. I'm thinking by the time you get to 15, hopefully you are on the loss adjustment.
There you go. You got it. You got it. All right. And so 15 is actually new relationships, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right, is actually new relationships. And so you talked about the importance of your support system. How did new relationships play a part in you processing what you experienced, either in your divorce or at any phase of adjusting from friendship, love, marriage, and divorce?
I would definitely say with new relationships. Now, for me, I'm probably a person that, we kind of talk about that. Now, don't put this out here. I don't practice astrology or anything like that, but I have learned about my zodiac sign as it relates to me. I'm a Libra, so I have my sign is that scale, and so I base things on. I can tell when my scale is off balance.
Right.
And so when a lot of things are going on, people, I can, on the spiritual side as well, I've learned to be able to tell, okay, I've let somebody in my space that shouldn't be.
Okay.
I would also say let's see how I can put this. After losing your mother and your father, it's easier to release people.
Okay.
So I feel like, and divorce, let's add that into that, after that type of trauma and that type of loss, I sum it up. And if it's time for them to be released, then I go ahead and release them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really, with new relationships, I always suggest that you kind of have some time to yourself. You need some time to yourself.
Okay.
What I mean by that, you have family members that are friends. I have family members they're really my friends, which is great.
Right.
I have sisters that are friends, brothers that's friends. I have different types of friendships. I will personally say that the people that became my friends or that were my friends, I truly believe that they were just divinely placed in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because that time and that space that you take to yourself, because you gotta listen. After you have lost a couple friends, different church friends, church members, you may have to move your membership. These are big things.
Yes. Yes.
Big adjustments to your life.
Mm-hmm.
People have died, all of that. Okay, you gotta stop for a minute and see, like they said, let the dirt settle. So I do remember a time I wasn't open to any new friendships. I wasn't open to any new date. I wasn't open to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like my time, my energy went into my children. I think I made it very clear to my girls, okay, I'm here for you. Okay. Don't think that I'm not going to have a life, but right now you have full access to me, because I felt that it was important. We work on ourselves to get ourselves to a certain point and dealing with that, but we don't stop and kind of, bring our children along. They've endured a big adjustment, hurt, disappointment, all of those things. Their idea of a family has been shattered. Yes. So I remember taking that time and really kind of giving that time to them, because they were in their teenage years. Mm-hmm. And so I think that worked. I think that worked for me. I think you should give it some time so that you can see, so that you can allow even God, to sharpen your discernment, because you have people that stick around because they want to know what's going on both sides. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you need to be able to discern that. You need to be able to know, okay, this person, why is this person in my life? And sometimes, we're so hesitant about removing people, sometimes because of who they are. Right. Right. Now, you don't have to act like, they don't exist in the world, but you also don't have to give them access to your space and to your life. I can be cordial. If you invite me to something, I'm coming, I'm gonna have a good time, but you're not going to get in my personal space. Those mm-hmm. people that are my true friends, because it's always going to be an exchange. So I hope that answers your question or some questions. It did. It just brought new information to consider. And that's why we are here. We are solution building and creating meaning. That's what this initiative is all about. And so we're moving into, the last 12 minutes of the interview. It's only, I only wanted it to be about an hour discussion, but we have some people here. And so at this particular point, we just want to, before we proceed with the questions, we just want to ask anybody if, Rita, are you open to taking questions from the floor? Yes, of course. All right. And then before we take the questions, I just want to thank you for being vulnerable. And I hope you felt like we were here to support you, because that is so very important in the process of being transparent, right? Yes, it's been great. Okay, all right. So are there any questions from anyone else that's in the room that might want to ask our interviewee any questions? All right, no questions. All right. So then okay. we'll proceed with the questions that we have. And so Rita, you talked a little bit about some of the advice that you give young people who are preparing themselves for lifetime partnership, right? Or marriage. Do you have any words of encouragement for future generations, or how does what you have experienced color or change your expectations you have for your legacy, for your girls, for your grandchildren? Oh, that's a great question. Um, what I really when they ask me questions or we're having a conversation, or like my daughters, of course, I can say, okay, let me share this with you. I always ask for permission. I really try to make them aware of what marriage is really about.
Okay.
Because the new, I hate to call them the new, but the millennials, they really have the new generation,
That's when I started. Yeah, that's when I started feeling old. Like when we have to use those terms, I'm like, man, I'm getting old.
But they got a whole different mindset. And I did just have this conversation with a young lady the other day, and I'm like, yeah, y'all can't, you can't just make up these different rules. You can't. Where y'all getting all these waivers from? That's not
right. These loopholes, right?
Yeah. Already a standard. No. If you're talking long term, that's with your relationship with God. That's with respect and honor to your parents. That's with looking to have a long term and just that relationship. There is one piece of advice that I like to share with the younger women, and it's funny now, but like our parents and those that were before us, they taught us about a lot of good things. They taught you about taking care of your husband. They talk about taking care of your home, taking care of your children. It's one thing they really did not put a lot of emphasis on, and that's taking care of yourself.
Okay.
That's one thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing I feel that was not really stressed is that you cannot say everything that comes to your mind to a man or to your spouse. You cannot do it. Now, those two pieces of information, especially the latter one, could have saved me a lot of trouble. Now, my mother was, now it wasn't until I got older that I really realized that she was submissive, because she just would not say whatever. She just wouldn't do it to my father, and I'm thinking I was a little girl. I said this before. I was a little girl. I may have been like 6, maybe 6 or 7. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have the last word. Well, what? I'm not doing that. No, seriously, I'm thinking, I'm not doing that. No, she needs to let him know.
You just say, that won't be me, right?
Let me tell you, and I will be the first to tell you that was the first thing that I got in trouble for, and the first thing that God dealt with me about. Like, shut up. You can know. A soft word turns away wrath. I got all the be quiet scripture. Be still and be quiet.
Is that temperance? Is that temperance, Rita? When you
I would say you need all of the fruit of the spirit. Yeah, you need them all operating. And the younger generation, now we did have some reservations on how, or let's say, not necessarily how, but let's say the choice of words that may have been selected. This new generation, they are crazy. And I'm thinking, no, y'all, you can't do that. You can't do that. Not if you want to, it's coming to my mind, I don't know the exactly where it is, but it talks about, a foolish woman, how she tears her own house down with her own hand.
Wow. Okay.
And those are things like you got to build your home. You have to learn those things, but those things don't just, you can't wait until you get into a relationship. I mentioned that before. You can't wait till you get into a relationship to start that. Those are things, like it's some things that the young adults say to their parents. You don't say that to your parent. Like, your parent is not your friend like that.
Right.
Like, it still should be a level of respect and honor. Now, that is something that I really think that needs to be taught so much more in our Black community, on how to respect a man.
Okay.
Because when you are working, you are paying bills, the women now, I commend them. They are outstanding. they are doing it. So it's hard to respect someone who feels that you just automatically owe that to them. So there is so much more. That platform to me is so much more open for us to learn how to respect a man. But I definitely try my best to share with them how marriage it's designed to change your life.
Mm-hmm.
Those things need to be talked about. You also, and I'm closing, you need to be honest.
Okay.
If you feel a lot of people are not honest with each other, they say what they think their spouse wants to hear or their potential spouse wants to hear. Like a man should be honest and say, well, okay, yes, I do want children, but I'm not sure if we can afford for you to not work. Those are things that need to be discussed. Or a woman, if she's going to say, okay, well, sweetie, I'm probably good for 2. I'm not sure about 5.
Right.
You know, okay, so if I'm going to, that means I'm not going to be able to maybe work outside of the house. Will I be getting an allowance? Yeah. You know, you have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times you think that, okay, they're going to figure it out, or they're going to get it, or this person's going to get it. No, they're not, that's not how they get it like that. So that's what I would say to the younger generation, just being more aware. Oh, and before, this is so important. This is actually first. I believe it's so important for them to know and to begin to seek their purpose.
Okay.
First.
Mm-hmm.
You seek your purpose first, your passion, enjoy your life as a single, as someone who is, like the word called is, be unmarried. If you're not married, which means you don't have a spouse, learn how to enjoy yourself, learn yourself, or learn what you like, what you really don't like. You know, some of those things you'll learn with that person, but that's what I would share with you.
Okay. Some divine nuggets. Thank you for those, Rita. And just going back a little bit, you talked about your mom. And for anybody who doesn't know, MZZ for Life Coaching Initiative was created as a result of me processing grief with the loss of my grandfather, that is Rita's uncle. And we talked a little bit about his relationship with your mom. You know, my grandfather loved all his sisters, you know, and I would just love to hear him talk about his sisters. But one of the things he was also concerned with is, you know, his children and, you know, his grandchildren having their own. So I hope he is proud to know that I'm working toward creating my own grandfather. And this life coaching initiative was created in honor of him. So this interview today, this solution-focused brief interview, was brought to you by MZZ for Life Coaching Solutions, where we strive to provide a values-driven experiential approach to life coaching. And if you would like to receive a complimentary consultation, which will set you up to create or process what you experienced in the consultation in a virtual format. We'll decide what's most appropriate for you. You can contact us at www.mzzforlifecoaching.com. That is www.mzzforlifecoaching.com, or James at mzzforlifecoaching.com to set up your personal complimentary consultation. And MZZ for Life Coaching Solutions strives to create life solutions built on values and your personal experiences. And before we go, I just want to thank you, Rita, for being here today to talk about the process of friendship, love, marriage, and divorce. Are there any closing words, comments before we close out today?
I just want to thank those that chimed in. Thank you for your support, and thank you for having me. Thank you for considering me. You're doing an outstanding job, and yes, your grandfather will be very proud of this platform, very proud.
Thank you, Rita. And so this interview will be available on either YouTube or the MZZ for Life Coaching Solutions Facebook page. I am recording it on Zoom. So again, I just want to thank you all for being here. Ivory, I see you have your hand up. I'm not sure how to invite you in, but let me see. Let me see where okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you ask a question. Here we go. Let me see if this works. Okay, there you go, Ma. Can you talk? Yep, you're a speaker. You're on the stage. Go for it.
Okay. I just wanted to thank Rita, congratulate her. My phone is saying try to find a stronger signal, but if you guys come here, this is going to be really quick. I just want to think she did a great job, and to let her know that I appreciate it, because she touched on all points from the beginning to the end. In terms of having a marriage, relationship, friendship starting out, so important. But you did an excellent job, and I really listened and learned from you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Looks like somebody else has their hand up. Let's see who this is. Rejoice, go ahead. Let's see if we can get you to the stage.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just wanted to say I chimed in. I enjoyed everything that was said. And I know this is aside from that discussion. I'm going to be quick. I'm not going to be long-winded. I know it runs in our family, but I'm not going to be long. Oh, wow. But no, me and my mom, my sister, we actually have a discussion, and maybe in the future there can be another one, but about how of course, I was on the child end of the divorce, but now as an adult, I see how, marriage is important, not just in Black families, but in general, but of course important in Black families. And you see how the dynamic of your family and your life literally change. Like today is some things I can see. I'm like, if, my parents were still married, I know where we would be in life in general. And not saying I'm not hungry for anything, but I know this is my life now. But you see how just the dynamic of your life changes and how important marriage really is, and how important, those things are. But I enjoyed the entire conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you for being here, Rejoice. Yes, and again, if you guys want to complete a complimentary consultation where you'll be able to complete the life coaching assessment that I use, you can contact me at james@mzzforlifecoaching.com. That's james@mzzforlifecoaching.com, and we can set up a time for you to complete your complimentary consultation, and we'll decide what format you want to process it on. All right. And so again, Rita Griffin, I just want to thank you so very much. I love you so very much for being an addition to the building of this initiative. And hopefully we can have you come back again at some point, because I feel like you have so much to offer. I feel like I have very new and useful information in regard to the importance of friendship, love, marriage, and divorce. That ends this solution-focused interview. I want to thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for introducing us to a new platform.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It is. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.